Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Stoka Krishna Swami. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. ISKCON Samsthapakacharya, Savior of the whole world, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 10. Text number 30. Tato dadarsha Bhagavan. Tato dadarsha Bhagavan. Ashoka Vanikashrame. Ashoka Vanikashrame. Shamam Swaviraha Vyadhim. Shamam Swaviraha Vyadhim. Shimshapa Moolam Ashritam. Shimshapa Moolam Ashritam. Tato dadarsha Bhagavan Ashoka Vanikashrame. Shamam Swaviraha Vyadhim. Shimshapa Moolam Ashritam. Tato dadarsha Bhagavan Ashoka Vanikashrame. Shamam Swaviraha Vyadhim. Shimshapa Moolam Ashritam. Tato dadarsha Bhagavan Ashoka Vanikashrame. Shamam Vyadhim. Shimshapa Moolam Ashritam. Tato dadarsha Bhagavan Ashoka Vanikashrame. Shamam Swaviraha Vyadhim. Shimshapa Moolam Ashritam. Tataha. Thereafter, Dadarsha saw Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ashoka Vanikashrame, in a small cottage in the forest of Ashoka trees. Shama, very lean and thin. Swabiraha Vyadhim, suffering from the disease of separation. from Lord Ramachandra, Shimshapa, of the tree known as Shimshapa, Moolam, the root, Ashritam, taking shelter of. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Thereafter, Lord Ramachandra found Sita Devi sitting in a small cottage beneath a tree named Shimshapa in a forest of Ashoka trees. She was lean and thin, being aggrieved because of separation from him. Please repeat this translation after me. Thereafter, Lord Ramachandra found Sita Devi sitting in a small cottage beneath the tree named Shimshapa in a forest of Ashoka trees. She was lean and thin, being aggrieved because of separation from him. There is no purport. I'll read few more verses and we'll discuss the subject matter. Text 31. Rama priyatamam bharyam deenam viksha anvakampata atmasandarshanakhlada vikasan mukhapankajam. Translation. Seeing his wife in that condition, Lord Ramachandra was very compassionate. When Ramachandra came before her, she was exceedingly happy to see her beloved, and her lotus-like mouth showed her joy. Aropya aruruhe yanam bhratrubhyam hanumadyutah Vibhishanaya Bhagavan Dattva Raksho Ganeshatam Lankamayuscha Kalpantam Yayau Chirnavratah Purim. Translation. After giving Vibhishana the power to rule the Rakshasa population of Lanka for the duration of one kalpa, Lord Ramachandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan, placed Sita Devi on an airplane decorated with flowers and then got on the plane himself. The period for his living in the forest having ended, the Lord returned to Ayodhya accompanied by Hanuman, Sugriva and his brother Lakshmana. Text 33. Avakiryamana sukusumair Lokapalarpitai pathi upagiyamana charitaha shatadrityadibhir muda. Translation. When Lord Ramachandra returned to his capital Ayodhya, he was greeted on the road by the princely order, who showered his body with beautiful fragrant flowers, while great personalities like Lord Brahma and other demigods glorified the activities of the Lord in great jubilation. Text 34. Gomutrayavakam shrutva bhrataram valkalambaram mahakarunikotyapyaja jatilam sthandileshayam. Translation. Upon reaching Ayodhya, Lord Ramachandra heard that in his absence his brother Bharata was eating barley cooked in the urine of a cow, covering his body with the bark of trees, wearing matted locks of hair, and lying on a mattress of kusha. The most merciful Lord very much lamented this. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta Swami translations to text 30 through 34. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the narration continues about the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra by Shukadev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. After Ravana was killed by Lord Ramachandra, then the wives of Ravana, they were lamenting the loss of their husband, and because they were very chaste, they understood that Ravana brought about his own destruction by his sinful activities. Nevertheless, because Ravana was killed by the Supreme Lord, he was fully purified. Anyone who comes in contact with the Supreme Lord, anyhow, they become completely purified. What is the meaning of complete purification? All their past sinful reactions are completely nullified. Modern day people don't understand what is meaning of sinful reaction. You do not even know such a thing exists. When anyone commits a sin, what is a sin? Sin means papa karma, performing some activity which is forbidden in the scriptures or which is in violation of the scriptural injunctions. Scriptures say don't eat meat, but somebody eats meat, then they are committing sinful activity. And for every sinful activity, depending on the severity of the sin, there is punishment. That's called reaction. And the reaction is going to be awarded in course of time. Immediately the punishment doesn't come. Immediately the punishment is not given. Always. Sometimes, very rarely, punishment is immediate. But in most cases, the punishment is not immediate. And the sinful reaction is to be suffered in a particular type of body. Because every body in this material world, there are varieties of bodies in different species. So each body is suitable for a particular type of enjoyment and particular type of suffering. Not all bodies are capable of enjoying all types of material pleasures. And all types of bodies are not meant for suffering all kinds of sinful reactions. So, certain types of sinful reactions can only be suffered in certain types of bodies. If somebody commits a sin by which they have to suffer in the body of a dog, then they have to wait till they get the dog's body to suffer that punishment. If they have to suffer in the body of an insect, then they have to wait till they get the body of the insect. So, simply by sinful activities, people are accumulating sinful reactions which necessitates that they have to take birth again and again and again in different types of bodies. And what people don't understand is every body has got limitation. Every body has got limitation. Except a spiritual body, no body is suitable for us. Because spiritual body means no disease, no old age, no misery, no death, no suffering. Only pure transcendental bliss. That's what we are entitled to. As part and parcel of Krishna, we are entitled to a spiritual body full of transcendental bliss. Because Krishna has a spiritual form full of transcendental bliss. So we are also entitled to a similar body. But if we commit sinful activities, then we cannot get such a body immediately. We have to wait till all our sinful reactions are completely nullified. So for those who are sinful, to nullify those sinful reactions takes a very, 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 very long time. And the unfortunate part is that after having committed sinful activities in one body, when they get the next body, in ignorance, they continue to commit sinful activities. Which means they are prolonging their material life, suffering. They're prolonging their suffering. Again and again and again, they keep committing sinful activities and they keep suffering more and more and more and more. So that's why the Supreme Lord and His pure devotees, they are very much compassionate upon the suffering souls in this world. Because they understand these foolish living entities in this material world, in ignorance they are going on committing sinful activities. But not everybody is doing it in ignorance. Some people, even though they have knowledge, they commit sinful activities. Who are those categories of people who have knowledge of what is sin? All those in the human form of body. Everyone in the human body knows that we should not inflict pain upon others, because we know what it is to suffer pain due to somebody else inflicting pain upon us. We know. Human beings have that capacity to know, to understand. By intelligence, by feelings, by their own experience, by hearing, by seeing, by contemplation, so many ways we understand. We have knowledge, we have experience, we have intelligence. So therefore, in this human form of life, we are held responsible for every sinful activity we commit. In the lower species of life, they only have to suffer the reactions of their past. Past means what they committed in the human form of life. That's all. They only have to suffer that, and they are also having some incidental enjoyment in that particular body. A dog has to suffer like a dog and also can enjoy like a dog. But no consideration of sin in the body of the dog for the living entity. Why? Because of ignorance. Because of ignorance. So, in the human form of life, if people, in spite of having developed consciousness, in spite of having knowledge, knowledge means that developed consciousness, they commit sinful activities, then they are responsible. They are responsible. So, because people even knowingly commit sinful activities, there is arrangement in human society that there is education, there is guidance, there is training, there is culture. All these exist only in the human society. So the real purpose of education, training, culture, everything is simply to enlighten the human beings that your suffering is because of your own sinful activities, and you should stop these sinful activities and engage in pious activities. When you engage in pious activities after having stopped sinful activities, then that's the end of your material existence. That's the end of all your suffering. No more suffering. No more pain. No more distress. So this is real education in human form of life. This is real education. But unfortunately, in modern society, even though so much stress is given for education, still this fundamental thing, aspect of education is lacking. Especially in this Kali Yuga. Even in so-called religious institutions, this is not being taught. What is the aim of education? What is the aim of learning, culture, training? What is the aim? This aim is missing. even priests who themselves are giving sermons to the followers of some religious systems, they themselves are committing sinful activities. They themselves are committing sinful activities. And when it is pointed out that how can you indulge in meat eating which involves animal killing, then they even have the audacity to say, oh, animal has no soul. Animal has no soul. So, Kali Yuga is a very, very unfortunate and dangerous age. But the saintly persons, they say, people who have taken birth in Kali Yuga, even though they are unfortunate in so many ways, they have one great opportunity. One great opportunity is there. This is especially explained in the Bhagavatam. Kali dosha nidhe rajan. In the 12th canto of the Bhagavatam, there's a description of Kali Yuga. In this description, it is explained that so many defects in this Kali Yuga, which is not there in the earlier ages. Just like now we are experiencing daytime, at least in Mysore, very, very hot. And night, it starts raining and becomes cold. So, Bhagavatam very correctly points out, in Kali Yuga, the symptoms of one season will be experienced in another season. Summer, it's natural, it will be hot. That is expected. And cyclically, the seasons rotate. Spring, summer, autumn, winter. But in summer, it becomes cold. It starts raining heavily, not just some few showers. No, heavy rain. So this is the unfortunate age of Kali. Yesterday, I was conducting an online session for some devotees in US. And I just happened to see the weather in New York. Our time, 9 p.m. Their time is 11:30 in the morning. 11:30 in the morning. What is the temperature in New York? 9 degrees Celsius. 9 degrees. So I asked one of the devotees that, is it too cold in your place? He said, yeah, it is very hot in the daytime, and night it becomes very cold. Sometimes in the afternoon itself it becomes cold. Like winter. Almost like winter. So this Kali Yuga is, don't expect you can live very comfortably, nicely in this material world, because it's a place certified to be full of miseries. But even this material world, in Satya Yuga, people live almost like they live in the spiritual world. Almost like that. There will be very, very few miseries which are seen in the other ages. And maximum miseries are seen in Kali Yuga, among the 4 ages. So like this, there's a description of Kali Yuga. So after describing the unfortunate age of Kali, the various symptoms, Shukadeva Goswami gives hope for all of us who are living in this age. He says, Kali dosha nidhe rajan. Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults. So Kali Yuga, don't try to search for some faults. This is not correct, that is not correct. Sometimes people discuss, no? We are living in bad times. So many defects are there everywhere around us. So Shukadeva Goswami just says, dosha nidhi. Nidhi means ocean. Dosha means faults. It's an ocean of faults. But asti heko mahan gunaha. There is one very, very, very great, good quality of Kali Yuga. What is that? Kirtanad eva krishnasya mukta sangha param vrajet. Simply by performing Krishna Kirtana. Simply by performing Krishna Kirtana, one can become free from the evil influence of this Kali Yuga. Simply by performing Krishna Kirtana. And Param Vrajet, by performing Krishna Kirtana, you also progress spiritually to go back to Godhead, to the supreme destination, the personal abode of Krishna, Krishna Loka, in the spiritual world. This is the great quality of Kali Yuga. Similar thing is said in the Kali Santarana Upanishad. Iti Shodashakam Namnam, after giving that mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Iti Shodashakam Namnam. These 16 names, if somebody chants, then Kali Kalmasha Nashanam, all the evil influence of Kali is destroyed. Is destroyed, completely destroyed. This dosha nidhi, Kali, that dosha nidhi, you become immune by doing Krishna Kirtana, Hare Krishna Kirtana or Hare Krishna Japa. Iti Shodashakam Namnam Kali Kalmashanashanam Nata Parataropaya Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate. There is no better method. If you search for some other better method in the entire Vedic literature, Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate. The entirety of the Vedas, you can't find a better method of nullifying the evil influence of Kali than chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stresses that everyone should chant this Hare Krishna mantra. Everyone should chant. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made even animals chant and dance Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada says we are not as powerful as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we may not be able to make animals chant. But at least we should try to make other people chant after we ourselves take up this chanting of Hare Krishna. So simply by chanting Hare Krishna, either in the form of Kirtana or Japa, we can nullify the evil influence of Kali. Can nullify the evil influence of Kali. And it is seen wherever a certain percentage of the population of a particular place, say 1% population, Prabhupada says this, if they become Krishna conscious and they engage in chanting, kirtana and performing japa, then the entire place becomes purified. The influence of Kali will not be there in such a place. The influence of Kali will go away. So we have to ourselves engage in chanting Hare Krishna, both in the form of japa and kirtana. And we also have to preach, or at least request other people, please chant Hare Krishna. Some or the other induce people to take up this chanting. Because people are suffering. There's no doubt about it. Everyone, whether they admit or don't admit, whether they appear to be suffering or they appear to be not suffering, if they were to reveal their heart, you will understand that everyone is suffering. Everyone is suffering. Except those who are engaged in chanting Hare Krishna or some spiritual activities. Except for them, everybody else has to suffer in this material world, especially in Kali Yuga. So therefore, coming to the point of sinful reactions, these sinful reactions are there in everybody's life. They have carried from millions of lifetimes. Millions of lifetimes. Because it is also the nature of material existence that it is characterized by darkness of ignorance. It's called Ajnana Timira, darkness of ignorance. So the darkness of ignorance makes us blind to reality. Ajnana Timirandhasya. What is our position? We are in the darkness of ignorance and therefore we have become blind to reality. Become blind to reality. So either we don't care to avoid sinful activities, or we ignorantly keep on committing sin after sin after sin. Like in Kali Yuga especially, and in general in the material world, people who are meat eaters, anyway they are committing sinful activities simply by eating meat. But those who are vegetarians, they think, oh, I am not committing the sin of meat eating. And that's correct. By avoiding eating meat, you avoid a lot of sinful reactions, grievous sinful reactions. You avoid that. But then, merely eating a vegetarian food, you are not completely free from sinful reactions. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that Yajnashishta Ashinaha Santaha Muchyante Sarva Kilbishaihi. Those who are devotees they always eat only Yajna Shishta, Krishna Prasadam, food that is first offered for sacrifice to Vishnu or Krishna. So we should eat only vegetarian food, which is first offered to Krishna in sacrifice. Yajna Shishta, it's called Yajna Shishta. Remnants of food offered in sacrifice to Vishnu or Krishna. So by that what happens? Ashinaha, when you eat remnants of food offered in sacrifice to Vishnu or Krishna, Muchyante, you become free, Sarva Kilbishaihi, from all sinful reactions. All sinful reactions are nullified. But somebody don't do this offering in sacrifice. Bhunjate te tu agham papa. If they don't offer in sacrifice, even vegetarian food they eat without offering in sacrifice to Vishnu, then bhunjate, they are eating agham papa, huge heaps of sin they are eating. So much of sin they are accumulating. Already birth in this material world means because of past sinful activities. That's why we take birth. But after taking birth, due to past sinful activities and experiencing sinful reactions throughout life in different stages, different kinds of sinful reactions, as if that is not enough, foolishly we eat more sin, more and more sinful reactions. Ye pachanti atma karanat, one who cooks food simply for the sake of enjoying eating that food. So that food could be vegetarian or non-vegetarian. Even vegetarian food, which is prepared simply for eating, not for offering to Vishnu, such food is also very, very sinful. This is what is meaning of ajnana timirandhasya. There is no knowledge that vegetarian food which is not offered to Vishnu is sinful. This knowledge is not there. This knowledge is lacking. Even in this country of Bharatvarsha, the most pious and holy place in the entire universe, Bharatvarsha, even in this place, people are in ignorance about sin due to eating food that is not offered in sacrifice to Vishnu. So therefore, there is a need for training, for education, for knowledge to be disseminated about the special facility in this human form of life that we have to learn, we have to understand, we have to become knowledgeable about how to stop all kinds of sinful activities. All kinds of sinful activities. So Shastras say that if you lead a pious life, avoiding all sinful type of activities, even that is not sufficient. Just like people sometimes say, what is the need for bringing in God? Just be good, do good to everybody, don't harm others, show compassion upon the needy people, suffering people. Be kind to others. Yes, this is very good. Those who are kind to others, those who don't give pain to others, those who show compassion to the poor and needy. Very nice. But that is not enough. Why? Because, let's say you're walking on the road. The road appears to be clean, but inadvertently you may step on one ant. So you become sinful for having killed the ant. These are subtle laws of nature. There is sinful reaction when somebody is preparing food. There are so many living entities in that water. When you boil the water for cooking, rice or sambar or whatever, you're killing all those living entities. Microbes, they're all microbes. Because water appears to be clean, then only you will take such water and start cooking. But you cannot see. So many microbes are there. And so many of them, when you boil the water for cooking, they'll all get nicely boiled, killed. So, even unwillingly, we don't want to kill. We have no intention of killing. But we are forced to kill under such circumstances. So, life in this material world means it is prone to sinful reactions due to our committing sinful activities in so many ways, unavoidably. So does it mean we stop eating? We can't live if we stop eating. So therefore, when we are breathing air, the air actually goes inside our respiratory system, and so many microbes, they are killed. They are killed inside. There's an arrangement inside. So like this, 5 kinds of papa in ordinary course of living even a pious life, avoiding all kinds of sinful activities which we know we can avoid or we should avoid. In spite of that, 5 kinds of sinful activities we all commit simply because we are living in this world and trying to maintain this body. So, to avoid all these is only possible if we perform devotional service, take shelter of Krishna, and beg forgiveness from Krishna for these sinful activities which unavoidably we are committing. Therefore, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. All these dharma, rules of dharma, ahimsa, satya, shama, dama, tapa, shaucha, all these rules are part of dharma. So, in spite of following all these rules, even very meticulously, some sinful activities which are unavoidable, how can they be nullified? Krishna says, you surrender to me exclusively. Mam ekam sharanam vraja, aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. Sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. I will free you from all sinful reactions. Sarva papebhyo means sinful activities committed knowingly, unknowingly, even unavoidable sinful activities. Everything, Krishna says, I will completely nullify. And only Krishna can nullify all our sinful reactions. There is no other way. There is no other way of complete 100% nullifying all the sinful reactions is not possible any other way. Only way is to surrender to Krishna. Take complete shelter of Krishna. So, therefore, it is so important. How can people surrender to Krishna? Surrender is very difficult in this world, because even though people may agree to avoid sinful activities, to lead a pious life, surrender to somebody else, that is against their very nature in this material world. Because material world, everyone wants to be the Lord. Everyone wants to be the Lord. Nobody wants to be servant. But our constitutional position in relationship with Krishna is we are all servants of Krishna. Ekala Ishvara Krishna Arsabhabritya. Everyone is servant of Krishna, except Krishna is the only Lord. And He is the Supreme Lord. See what happens in this material world. Somebody may claim to be a master or a lord. One gentleman, he has got a family, nice family. So he claims, I am the head of the family, I am the master of the family. Because everybody is obedient, everybody nicely follows, all his family members. Okay. But his position outside his family is that he is servant of somebody else. He is subservient to somebody else. So like this, you go on tracing. If this person is a master, he is also a servant. Like that, you go up to Brahma. Brahma is the master of all living entities in the whole universe. But Brahma is also servant of Vishnu. What about Vishnu? Vishnu is master of Brahma and all the living entities. But is he servant of somebody else? No. Vishnu alone is such a master who is not servant of anyone else, because there is nobody greater than Vishnu. Nobody greater than Vishnu. So Vishnu or Krishna is the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord. So therefore everybody must surrender to Krishna, Vishnu. You may or may not surrender to somebody else, but you must surrender to Krishna. So what are people who say, I don't care for Vishnu or Krishna or God? There is no God. Who is God? You can't even show me God. So how can I believe there is God? So many arguments. But even though they refuse to surrender to Krishna, they are forced to surrender to Krishna's agent, Maya. Maya Devi. Maya Devi is material nature. Material nature forces us to become old. Material nature forces us to undergo after we get infected. Unfortunately, if somebody gets infection, then they have to suffer the disease. They are forced to suffer by nature. And so many types of suffering, hunger, thirst, and fatigue, and so many types of suffering imposed by nature upon us, each one of us. So, this is the agent of Krishna, forcing us to suffer, even though we try to avoid in so many ways. So, ajnana timirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya. This bona fide spiritual master, he actually opens our darkened eyes through the torch of knowledge. Chakshur unmilitam yena. Chakshur unmilana means opening the eyes. And to open the eyes, it's not easy to open the eyes of a person who is unable to open the eyes. Surgery has to be performed. So for that surgery, there's something called in Ayurveda, shalaka. It's an instrument to open the eyes by doing one kind of eye surgery. So the spiritual master performs eye surgery upon blind people. Sometimes children are born blind because their eyelids don't open when they come out of the mother's womb. Then the doctor immediately performs an operation to open the eyes. Medical professionals know this. So, like that, we are born in the darkness of ignorance, and our eyes, our spiritual vision, our spiritual eyes are closed when we take birth in the material world. These spiritual eyes can be opened only by a spiritual master who performs this surgery to open the eyes by giving us spiritual knowledge. How does he perform this surgery? Simply you have to sit and hear the spiritual master. Through the ears he performs the surgery. The spiritual vibration enters your ears, and if it goes and touches your heart, your soul, within the body, then your spiritual senses are awakened, your spiritual eyes are opened. And that vibration, transcendental vibration, has got the illumination also, by which you become enlightened. Transcendental knowledge also enlightens you. You come to know what is correct, what is wrong, what is to be done, who is God, who am I. Everything, all enlightenment happens if you receive that vibration of transcendental sound through your ears from the bona fide spiritual master. You have to hear. This is what the Upanishads say. Om ajnana timirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshur unmilitam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. So we have to pay our respects. We have to bow down before such a spiritual master who very kindly opens our darkened eyes by performing that surgery to open the closed eyes, spiritual vision. Spiritually we are blind because we do not know what is spirit, who is God. So that spiritual enlightenment is possible by a spiritual master. He's spiritual master. That's why Prabhupada translates Guru as spiritual master. Otherwise, Guru sometimes is used for my Sangeet Guru, my maths Guru. So Guru is used in a sense of teacher. But Guru in the sense of Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, one who enlightens you spiritually, is a spiritual master, spiritual teacher. Such a spiritual teacher you have to actually approach, bow down and beg for spiritual enlightenment. You have to ask. Because spiritual master never forces you, never imposes upon you. You have to ask. Voluntarily, you have to accept. Then it is possible to become enlightened, to become purified, because he injects the Krishna sound, spiritual sound, Hare Krishna mantra, that will, and as I said, coming in contact with Krishna completely purifies. Ravana was killed by Rama, so he became completely nullified of all sinful reactions. Similarly, we can also become completely purified of all our sinful reactions when you hear the Hare Krishna mantra from the lips of Srila Prabhupada, the bona fide spiritual master, and it enters your ears and it has to go inside and touch your soul. Remember, you are spirit soul, you are not this body. So merely that sound going through the ears, anyway sound will go through the ears. Sound will fall on the ears and it will go inside. But we should not block that sound from touching our soul. We should not be blocking. How do we block? When we don't give attention to that sound. That sound is blocking our consciousness. Just like now you are sitting and hearing, I hope, what I am speaking. So outside there are so many sounds. Even though those sounds also fall on your ears, you don't register that sound at all. You don't take note of that sound. You're not conscious of that sound. Because your attention is not given to that sound. So you are blocking that sound. So, we should not block the sound of the Hare Krishna mantra coming from the spiritual master. We should attentively hear. And when that sound touches your soul inside, you become enlightened. You become knowledgeable. Your sinful reactions are completely nullified. But this process of cleansing the heart, it takes little time because we have to practice how to give full attention. Now all of you are giving attention, but you may not be giving 100% attention to this sound of Bhagavatam. Prabhupada is speaking through the Bhagavatam, Krishna Katha. So learn and get trained to give 100% attention, full concentration. Even chanting and hearing, japa, Hare Krishna. How to give full attention? You have to practice. You have to learn the technique also. Because our mind is generally distracted when we are doing one activity. It is going for another activity also, exclusively focusing and doing only one activity, that we are not accustomed to doing like that, because material activities doesn't require 100% attention. Our developed intelligence, we can do so many activities without 100% attention. In fact, all material activities can be done without 100% attention. Possible. So we don't find the need for 100% attention for doing any material activity. But this activity of hearing, chanting and hearing Hare Krishna or Bhagavatam, this will not be effective unless we chant and hear with 100% attention. It will not be fully effective. Though you can get some benefit, even with little attention, you do chant and hear Hare Krishna, you will get spiritual benefit. But to get the full benefit, what is the full benefit? 100% cleansing of the heart of all the reactions. 100% cleansing. If you give 100% attention and chant and hear Hare Krishna. So that you have to practice. You have to learn the technique. You have to read, you have to hear, you have to understand, you have to apply. It is a technique, something technical. It's a skill you have to acquire. So that requires association, that requires some tapasya, that requires some practice, that requires some education, training, culture. That's why regularly you have to come and attend this discourse in the temple at least once a week. Come and have darshan, come and have prasadam, come and have charanamrit, come and hear this Bhagavatam, come and chant Hare Krishna. This is the technique, this is the method of how to give 100% attention for this Hare Krishna and become perfect. I'll stop here. Antarat Srimad Bhagavatam ki.